Anyway, so we're going to get into some tabletop news for the week. We've got a couple of news stories that I'm just going to get right into. Remember that if you have something that you'd like us to talk about, then you should head on over to our Discord at shadowcasters.network/Discord, and we've got a whole channel there for suggesting news items. One of the ones that we're going to be talking about today was suggested just right there by our good friend Daryl. So, in fact, it's the first one we're going to talk about, so I'm going to get right to it. All right, we've got an update on one of those, another Wizards of the Coast lawsuit update. We need to have a stinger just for that.
Right?
Right.
The ongoing saga.
And you just be like, doo, doo. Or like, what's the Law and Order? Bom, bom.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is from, like I said, Daryl Mott updated us to this, which is that basically the Heiss and Wickman, is that Heiss and...
Hickman and Weiss.
Hickman and Weiss. Heiss and Weckman.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, Weiss and Hickman. Oh my God, I just like stumbled right over myself. It was for the what was the name of the thing that they did?
Dragonlance.
Dragonlance.
You're getting there, buddy.
Knocking it out of the park today.
First try.
The lawsuit has basically been dropped. Not I feel like I want to say mysteriously, but I don't think.
Well, their reasons might be mysterious.
Yeah, exactly.
They're unknown.
Yeah. So it's probably not mysterious, but it was the technical term is that it was dismissed without prejudice, and I'm going to read kind of mostly directly from what Daryl told us in Discord, because he did such a good job at this. This is like what he does, right? He's the news guy. So he said, basically all this means is that the lawsuit isn't going forward anymore. That's it. That's without prejudice means that Hickman and or Weiss can refile the lawsuit later if they decide to. If there is a settlement, it's unlikely we're going to hear about it because legal settlements are typically sealed and subject to NDAs, so neither party can talk about them. All we know is that Wizards of the Coast filed no legal response with the court and that discovery had not taken place. Discovery is the evidence filing process in a court case. He also said that it's kind of like the best and worst sort of news story. I agree, in that everything is just summed up very simply as it was voluntarily withdrawn and dismissed. But there's that's like news and not news, because there's so much that you want to know and you can just fill in yourself. And so everyone is going to fill it in themselves, you know.
I will never actually know.
Something that I think gives me a little bit of insight on this is that Margaret Weiss posted about this on Twitter, just essentially saying that it happened, but in a way that made it sound like she was happy about it.
Oh, okay.
So I responded with, "Oh, this is good news. I'm confused," and she just liked my post and didn't elaborate. So it sounds like whatever it is, it's something's happening that's probably something that Weiss and Hickman are happy with, and they don't feel the need to continue with the settlement. That's a fair amount of speculation on me based on a single Twitter post I saw, though. So
Sure.
Take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
I saw somewhere that the werewolf from True Blood, Joe Manganiello.
Joe
Joe
Manganiello.
There you go. Nailed it.
I know his name because he's hot.
Yes. Anyway, yes. My wife tells me this.
You should see for yourself.
No, I watched True Blood. I actually, he was my favorite character on True Blood. But so gay. But you got me on a tangent now. But he posted something about Draconians showing up soon. I don't remember the context of that because I didn't actually see the tweet myself, but I heard a bunch of people chatting about him talking Draconians, which immediately, right? There's only one context for that, right? You play D&D, Draconians, well, you're talking about Dragonlance. So, yeah. Manganiello. Anyway.
I'd like to hear you pronounce a variety of different possible.
Aaron Tyler's messing with me then. It makes me also wonder if the other lawsuit that we talked about is going to go a similar direction.
Well, we will update you with part 5 of Wizard Law. Yeah. Next news item is it's been reported that Chris Pine is currently negotiating. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, Chris Pine is currently negotiating a deal to star in the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons feature film. With this surprising star power being granted to the film, I thought it might be worthwhile to do a sort of roundup on what we know so far about that movie. Okay.
He's going to be a draconian.
That's why they had to wrap this thing up quick. The movie, okay, so here's what we know. The movie's going to be directed and written by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. If you recognize those names, it's probably because they've worked on pretty big movies. Horrible Bosses, Vacation, Game Night. Those are small ones. The other ones they've worked on are like all tons of MCU stuff, or not a ton of stuff. They did the two of them did Spider-Man: Homecoming, but they also have the Dungeons and Dragons movie is going to be produced by Jeremy Latcham, who is known for producing a ton of the MCU movies, Spider-Man: Homecoming being one of them, but also Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers. And it's set to begin filming in first quarter of next year in Belfast. That's basically all we know, and that they're in negotiations with Chris Pine. But that's
so how much influence over a movie do producers have?
Well, the producers, so very
like I know right up here, right, but like directors are the one that make the movies.
Well, as Oz can probably attest, because him and I have some experience in the filmmaking industry. So very simply, directors are in charge of all the artistic direction of a film, and the producers are in charge of like the money, basically, or the business end of things, and they clash quite a lot. And because you want your director, the director wants to make be the auteur. They want to like make their art, and the producer wants the money to be, or the film to be profitable, so it will be, the money they're spending will be worth it. And so there's one of the ways I like to think about how contentious the relationship is that it's so bad they literally had to invent the assistant director and the assistant producer, which are like the people who talk to each other so that the director and producer don't have to.
That's brilliant.
I know that there are historically some very good. I'm being very basic right now, right? Like there's been some really historically good producer-director relationships. So.
Absolutely, and when that happens, that's great, right? Because the producer believes in the director's vision and wants to have the director succeed, and gets the money to like, okay, your vision sounds crazy. Are we sure that this can be done? How do we make this done, etc.
Yeah.
And they'll get the money for it. But producers inherently, because they're the ones that are like working with investors and dealing with like actually getting the money, they're also concerned as like, is this actually going to sell? Am I going to be able to recuperate the money that we are raising for these, like from these people that I'm collecting from, right?
Right.
Like, it's going to be worth their while. Is there going to be a return on investment? So if they don't have that, then they start putting the brakes on stuff and say, okay, hold on, you're getting a little too weird there, buddy. So if your producer has done Guardians of the Galaxy and all this stuff, I mean, you're already looking at someone who has a lot of great experience raising money for like big properties, right? Like comic books.
And that's another aspect of it, right? Like not just that they're a quote unquote good producer, but if they in the industry have a reputation for putting together very profitable movies, it means that they can get like a history of being able to get profitable movies means you can get more money up front for your movie, which presumably can lead to a better movie, stuff like that. So it's good.
So would you guys want there to be like a totally brand new setting for a D&D movie, or do you think they should find like an existing setting and just like water deep, right, and just make it all about something that exists already? Because I think the ones previous have just not had any sort of D&D lore behind them, right?
Yeah,
they were awful movies.
I think it's a terrible idea to do a D&D movie on your homebrew setting. I think you should do Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk or Dragonlance or something, and do it faithful to the setting, but do your own story within that, and
Yeah.
make sure the spells make sense and there's doing the somatic and material components, because gamers want to see that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They want to see them
Yeah.
using that feat or that special ability or the spell that they know. And that fan service just has not been provided, except for, some of the more indie film producers, such as like my ideal D&D movie that has been made is The Gamer's Darkness Rising.
Yeah.
That's perfect as far as what I wanted out of that film. And ideally, that's the kind of genre I want to see any future D&D films made in. I want to see the people in their lives with some sort of plots outside of the game table, and then when they come together, have some interesting and meaningful things happen as they have fun in their game, and have some sort of story that affects both sides of things. That's what I think would make a really great D&D movie. And if you're going to call it D&D, make it Eberron.
There better be a dungeon,
right?
There better be a dragon. And,
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with you, Cliff.
Yep.
What class do we think that Chris Pine needs to play?
I think I picture him as a dual class paladin and bard.
Huh.
I don't know if that's possible with the alignments in the current edition, but maybe he'd have to be an ex-paladin bard or an ex-bard paladin, or maybe he goes back and forth. Of course, you can't do that with paladin without a toning. Anyway, that would be fun.
Paladin bards seem like they would make absolute sense. I mean, like that's what a canter is, right?
Well,
but they're just going
have to be lawful, and
relief.
bards can't be, right?
But they have to get the comic relief of the movie to be the bard, obviously.
I don't want Chris Pine to be a comic relief. He's not
He's not going to be. That's what I'm saying. You always get like that side character to be the comic relief.
Like I feel like they're gonna stick him in. He's gonna be the ranger. That's what I think.
He'd make a good ranger.
I think he's gonna. Isn't he always sort of like a scrappy, something or other? He'll probably be like a fighter, is what I imagine, or a rogue.
I mean, with the last name like Pine, though, maybe he has to be a druid.
That's true. We don't really get a lot of druid main characters. If they did a druid as a main character, that would be nuts, because then they would get to do like shape shifting and like all the crazy.
Or maybe he's the bad guy. Maybe he's gonna be.
Oh, we hadn't considered that.
Either way, I really hope that he's either a tiefling or an Aasimar.
I would, in an ensemble like this, I don't want the straight white guy to be the main character. I want something different out of this.
However, as I said,
to the point that we're not going to get that, that's fine.
The producer will say, "Wait, hold on a minute, there, buddy. I'm trying to raise money.
We need the leading man."
Right.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I would be super excited about this film if it were directed by people of color or women or both, instead of a couple of white guys who get a bunch of opportunities because, lots of reasons.
Sure, yeah.
Don't want to downplay their accomplishments, but
that's what we could. I want to do a segment where we do a dream cast of the D&D movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
It should be a segment next week. We're going to dreamcast the D&D movie.
You got it. Opties.
Yeah, we'll pick our dream producers and directors and stuff too.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Let's farm this out to our community as well on Discord.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Start throwing that on our Discord server, and we'll talk about it. Give us your reasons, and we'll discuss it. And maybe even the following week, we'll do some votes and see who wins if we get to pick who produces, directs, writes, and stars in the next D&D movie.
Your best
So
Dreamcast.
We'll
mention.
absolutely disappointed when it doesn't come.
Yeah, we'll mention you on the show and everything. The next bit of news is just in time for Christmas. Paizo's releasing their core rulebooks for Starfinder and Pathfinder 2nd edition in pocket edition versions. Their books are softcover 6.5 by 8.5 inch and are 528 pages and 648 pages respectively, and they're about $20 each. Whose pockets do these books fit in?
I mean, like, I like pocket edition stuff, but 600 pages, that's a lot. That's
carrying around a little Bible for yourself, right?
That's what it's like.
Like instead of being a preacher in the gospel, right? You're just like,
What if it's made out of that like super thin like like Bible papers.
It's Bible papers. Yeah. That's
Words of paladin in red.
And when you get
Yeah.
stopped by an random arrow, you're like, oh, thank God I had this D&D book covering my heart.
This pocket edition does 1d6 clubbing damage.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great idea. I like that idea. Pocket editions are cool.
Yeah, I think it will fit. It will truly actually fit. Like the size will fit better in like little satchels and smaller backpacks and stuff. It probably will be easier to carry around, but
being more inexpensive hard copies, that maybe take up less space and weight in your gaming bag. I mean, that sounds good to me.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So get that for yourself or someone you like.
I hope they also make them accessible to read for people who don't have a magnifying glass.
Dude, the
Like
Pathfinder and
you think they
Starfinder
just
books.
shrunk the pages?
Maybe there it is. It's just the tiny version, and you can't read. It's just been all shrunk down.
Does Starfinder and Pathfinder have GM's guides and players handbooks? Are they split up like that?
I think Pathfinder
I
does.
would assume not for 600 pages, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't actually
Starfinder's
know.
splat books are a little bit different. I don't think there's a separate GM guide and player's guide. They have, for instance, the Alien Archives, several of those. They're sort of a combination between a monster manual and also different player character options. So they sort of blend their books between player and game master utility. Probably kind of a smart strategy, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the numbers, but
Well, I mean, that's basically what WotC does, right?
I would think a smart strategy for a pocket edition, now that I'm thinking about it, is instead of putting everything into one book, having a set of smaller books, right? So like you could have like different classes, so you could get handed out to your players.
Having a player's pocket would be
exactly. Like here's your guide for fighter, and then here's your guide for
Oh
gunslinger.
yeah.
Right? And then, like you just have little pockets.
I mean,
and they could
didn't
send it to you in
D&D
those,
do
like,
that?
They could send it to you in those
did.
little like book packs, like the like Peter Rabbit edition, like you know what I mean, like the book series in like a little box that goes.
Well,
on
it
your
reminds me of things like
box
the
set.
Yeah.
the spell or power cards for like 4th
Yeah.
edition D&D. It makes me think a lot about like that. I think you're better off having things that are quick and easy reference materials that have just what you need or something close than having like a giant tiny book.
For sure. I want to jump ahead for just a minute because I know Cliff's got a quick one he wanted to bring to the show about we talked about RPG jams last week, and he's got one he wanted to mention before we get into what I think is going to be a long conversation. So Cliff, you want to tell us about the last RPG jam, literally?
Yeah, it is called, that's its title, The Last RPG Jam, The Last RPG Game Jam on itch.io is hosted by Ian Magenta. Submissions are open from December 1st, which is already passed, to January 1st. As of this live show, you've got about 11 days to get one in. I'll read from the post here. The year is ending. The world is ending. Let's make an RPG. For many, this year has been a struggle. If you're like me, it can be healthy to channel your frustrations into something creative. The Last RPG Jam is designed to let you do just that. It's a month-long, no-pressure tabletop role-playing jam where you can create whatever kind of RPG material you want. The guidelines is it has to be a tabletop RPG game of some kind, no video game submissions. The content can be a role-playing game system, a dungeon, adventure, map, monster guide, etc. Size, at least 1 page long. Format, PDF, and the theme choices, optional. End of year, end of world, start of year, or start of world. Those are directly from the Game Jam posting itself. And I took a look. So far, there are already 26 entries that you can go ahead and get. Some of them are free. Some of them are paid but inexpensive. I'll list off a few of them here. Some free ones. Resolve, a New Year's Eve tarot RPG for 1 to 5 players. 2d6 Essentials, a bare bones generic RPG. Relief, A City's Rise, a city building game using 1 yen coins. So some of the paid ones: The Tainted House of the Orange Weir, a kick in the doors of the ultimate mansion crawl at $1. A Great Miracle Happened Here, a short Jewish revolutionary TTRPG for $3.60. And probably my favorite title out of them, Gay Spa Hex Crawl 2 Murder Spa. A single-player dice game and a system-agnostic murder spa setting for $3.69.
Murder spa setting.
Oh my god! Done. Sold.
Yeah, these are anyone can join this game jam. As a matter of fact, I don't know what I'm going to put up there, but I have a couple ideas that could work. Maybe a monster or a dungeon to go with Morkborg. How about you?
Oh my god! I mean, come on. Instead of grindhouse, it's bathhouse.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love these game jams on itch.io because they just invite people to be creative and give a little free marketing boost to the indie developers who are making something. And it's really low to no barrier to entry. Anybody can just step up and do it. So I think I might, just for fun. That's kind of how I ended up doing a role-playing game for the Kickstarter Zine Quest last year. Somebody just mentioned, hey, you should do this. It's accessible and fun. So I think I might try my first game jam with this.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
I would make Twilight 0.5, and it would be no vampires, only werewolves as love interests.
And you are in a post-Cold War, World War III Russia, and you speak many languages that are irrelevant to the setting.
Yeah, and it would have Shark Boy in it, and also Joe Manganiello, and it would be only handsome, dark-haired men. And that would be it. That would be the whole thing. Like, and you have to choose one of them as a love interest. And they're all competing. Then for some reason, you've got what they need.
Oh my god! Yes.
So it's super easy, right? It's super easy to get a date with one of these werewolves because for whatever reason, you're like the shit for them.
Have you ever? No, like this actually reminds me of a game called Made, the RPG, and the way that I would imagine this is all of the players are the sexy, hunky werewolves trying to seduce the GM to get them to notice them. Like, so the GM is the one that's like the central character, right? But they have to like try and win their affections.
So yeah, it's like it's all Team Jacob all the time. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's my RPG.
All right, well, you guys check it out for sure, and tell us, let us know, because I want to hear what people are doing. All right, well, that's going to be it for the news this week. Again, if you've got news that you'd like us to discuss, then check it out. Drop it into our Discord server at shadowcasters.network/Discord, and put it in the news suggestions channel, and we'll talk about it.